So welcome to another week of trying to thrash and get this race car done. Got in a box here the stuff that's going to powder coating right now, or probably tomorrow before lunch we'll drop it off. The bellow, the tank, the trim ring, cold pipe, the turbo compressor, all that. Got some random stuff from Amazon, got some fiberglass resin, hardener, the cloth tape, mixing buckets, different things to resin and support the carbon after it's all said and done there at the end. Walk over here at the car and got the wastegate dump tubes put on this morning. Had to finagle the steering a little bit, did a longer steering stop, and because the steering rack was getting really close to this and the tire was going to actually rub it with how close we had that, because we had this thing where it would steer like a street car, but I guess it's going to steer like a Pro Mod now. So got that took care of, got our electrical connection for the headlights put in the front end here, got it in that side as well. Going around here to the back, you can see we have a wing on the car now. This wasn't a 5-minute job getting all this thing fit up, but we got it fit pretty much the way it's supposed to now. It might be just a little bit out of level sitting there on the lift under that stand, but we haven't got the piano hinge underneath attached quite yet, so it's just literally sitting there with tape. And I don't want to put much strain on it because it already fell off there once, and that was almost really bad after all that work. So it didn't hurt anything. Luckily I was there to catch it before it made the whole fall to the ground, but it's going to look really sick. And this is something we're going to offer to the Dachshund community, the guys that are wanting drag wings that can't find nothing to fit the cars. This is going to be a builder kit. It'll pretty much have every hole already cut in it, all your brackets bent, everything. The only thing you'll have to punch in it yourself is this one, because this can be put wherever you want it. We just chose to put it all the way in the corner for the side support. These struts are from Quartermax RJ race cars. So this is their standard wing mounting kit. I've had it for about a year, so we based everything off this where it can be, you know, easily obtained if we mess it up or something like that. So pretty common stuff. It's good to have some parts on your car that's a common thing, because if you don't and you wreck it, then you're building everything from scratch. Or I mean, these wings, it wouldn't take but just bumping into something, backing into something, rolling it off the trailer and backing it into something, or you know, it could screw a bunch of stuff up, and then you'd have to make stuff from scratch if you couldn't just buy it. So we chose to use that where we could just buy it if something screwed up. So tomorrow I'll come in, get the piano hinge attached across there, get it attached across the carbon here, and then these aluminum pieces, the spill plates, the wicker bill, all that stuff will go to powder coating with everything else and get a nice coat of black. So then after that, we'll probably start on the headers. I know I need to get this interior stuff done with the carbon and stuff, but I also need to get the headers done as well. But no, I take that back. I probably will start on the carbon stuff inside, because I don't want to do the headers until the plumbing gets delivered back to the shop at the end of the week, which Mike has told me that's when it'll be. So save the headers for next week, where we can have all that plumbing in the way and pretty much build the headers around what clearance we have with the plumbing. So the wing's gonna look awesome though. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. I think it really adds some character to the car. So see you tomorrow. So I've been really slack on filming this week. Before we took the wing off, we actually made the, if I don't hit my head, we actually made the parachute mount and stuff for the back. Went ahead and got that finished up. You see there's no wing on there right now because all of that stuff's a powder coating. It should be already done today. Should be picking it up at lunchtime. I'm not gonna put it back on probably. Well, I might. But all that stuff's gonna be off of it whenever it goes to wiring. But the goal is right now, by the end of next week, it will be ready to go to Georgia to get wired at MJB Performance. So on the back, up on the lid, you can't really see it, got the scallop strip welded on there for the piano hinge for the wing. And since all that's been done, we've been working on the carbon and stuff underneath the car, and that's going really good so far. You can see I've got the two main pieces on there already. The only reason why I stopped yesterday is because I ran out of connectors here, or not connectors, but the fasteners. So I overnighted some where I'd have some today, and got the template for the tunnel here, or the back side of the tunnel. I'm about to cut that out, and then we're gonna do this as one piece all the way up to the cross member, and then we're gonna do a separate piece that breaks around the bell housing and stuff, and I'm gonna put 2 bends in that, where that'll kind of go around that nice and be flat on the bottom. So that's what I'm doing, and let me see if I can show you what this looks like from the top. Yeah, can't really see it that good, but it looks really, really pro modish, having the carbon where you can see it, the finished side through the bars and stuff. The goal is, after today, by the end of the day, have it where it's ready to take the rear end out of this thing, take all the rest of this interior stuff out, start wiping everything down with acetone, and hopefully I'm gonna stay tonight and paint all of the tubing and stuff in the car, because everything is done as far as what needs to be mounted up and everything. Joey yesterday, sorry I'm burping my monster up here. Joey worked on a little switch panel yesterday. If I haven't already put it up, I think I already put it up. I'll show it to you anyway. We got our Brad Penn 50 weight oil here. Also, another thing I did yesterday was retrofit the Fuel Tech strain gauge shifter onto the tick shifter handle. What I did with that is I machined the inside of this shaft here, which is a solid shaft that's in with our shifters, and I welded a socket head bolt that is the correct thread. I think it's an M12 by something up in this shifter, but dropped it down in there like a slug and welded it so this shifter handle or knob would work with the tick shifter. Go in here and show you my little switch panel. So this is going to go above my head. This is Fuel Tech's 5-switch panel. It comes with a variety of little stickers that you can put on here depending on what buttons do what. But I'm sure one of them will be for the priming pump, one of them will be for the ignition, one of them will be the start button, you know, whatever. But we use the Maven tube clamps. Jared sent these to me. He said, you know, they can universally be used for a lot of different things. And he said he had never seen some mounted vertically like this. Well, if I mounted it like this, which is what it was designed to be mounted like, or like this, it would be too close to my face, because it's going to be up here on the halo around the funny car enclosure, and so I wanted it up near the ceiling of the car. So it's going to work out good though. Nice little carbon piece to go on that, and pretty slick. So that's your few minute update of what's went on this week. And I'm gonna start making carbon dust and try to get this done. And then I'll try to update you once I get all the carbon on before I take everything apart and start painting. But things are going really good and we're on the home stretch, and maybe we'll have a finished car, like I said, by the end of next week. It'll be going to Georgia, hopefully. I've also got a contact of a guy that might be coming to wrap it here at the shop after it gets back from Georgia. So it's gonna be so nice to have this thing done. I can stop thinking about it and get fired up on some of these other builds like this. Because I tell you, going through this car, I mean, I know we're a shop, we do a lot of fabrication, I've done a lot of turbo systems, various things like that, but going through and having to work with all this carbon stuff and, you know, building this car basically front to back from scratch has really kind of honed in my skill level on some things I didn't really mess with before, having to do it on my own. So it's going to really help me move that into some of the other builds that we get involved in. And you know, that's part of it, just learning something new all the time. And sometimes you learn stuff out of necessity. That's why I'm in this business, because I couldn't ever afford to pay somebody to do any of this. So it was necessity that I learned to do this stuff myself. And here I am doing it full time. So the way things work. So let's get to work. So we stopped by powder coating on our way back from lunch, and they got everything done. Trim ring here satin black. We got the tank in fine texture because it really helps keep things clean. It really stays clean looking all the time. The belt inlet, we got black. And here's our parachute mount that I did not show the making of. It goes way out there to get out from underneath the wing. But our standard mount, we just cut the little lightning bolt thing out of the helmet because the CO2 launcher cylinder sets right down in there. A little carbon piece for the thing. I got some rubber stands for it. Let me show you what I've got done before I tear everything apart. There, the turbo's coated, cold pipe's coated, all that's back on for good with the O-rings and everything. It shouldn't have to come back off. Check that out. Got all the carbon in the floor done. Carbon around the tunnel area done. I actually just kept the swag all the way to the front instead of trying to come up in the middle and then go back down. I just kept it the same as the cross members all the way down. See what it looks like underneath. Everything's sealed up. So I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. Actually went pretty smooth. In the front, I was able to break it where there wasn't a big air gap where my feet is. So right here, see, it's sealed up pretty good. Just follows the bell housing. I put one little bolt with a nut certain right there because it was just the pressure the carbon has on it from being flexed like that kind of tries to make it sag down. So got that pulled up. So yeah, just wanted to show you all that because I'm going to mark where all of my fasteners are as far as the rotation. Come in here and mark with a Sharpie where all of them are, and then drill all the holes for the rivets. I might actually just take the drill bit while they're on there and just go around and just buzz a little spot in the carbon while they're still attached. That way they don't move at all. And then I'm gonna start taking this thing apart. Take all them panels off. I'm gonna make these little filler panels right here in the next few minutes, just to put in there. And then this thing is getting blown completely apart, and I'm gonna paint it tonight. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna reassemble it all. And it'll look like a whole new car. We'll put the real transmission in there and all that, hopefully tomorrow if things go good. So it's coming along, right along on schedule. It's wearing me out though, and I'm about tired of working on it, so I'm glad it's just about done. So it's about 7 o'clock, and I'm gonna wrap it up and head to the house and get something to eat. Basically got everything tore down and ready to start the prep work for the paint, wiping the bars down and stuff like that. Got the rear, all the suspension, all that stuff out. Went ahead and marked all the carbon for drilling the holes for the rivets, so maybe Joey can mess with that tomorrow. But I'm gonna go over with a wire wheel and just make sure there's no slag or nothing where I welded them tabs on. Also gonna paint these parts here. I was gonna have the bell housing powder coated, but it's already powder coated black. I might just clean it up and throw a fresh coat of black on it. Got the Hammer Concepts rear over here, sitting on the wheels. Had to wipe that thing down. It had a pretty thick layer of dust on it, but it still looks good as ever. So let's go get something to eat, see the kids for a minute, and come back up here and start letting some paint fly. It's a good warm day. The paint should lay on here pretty good. Using the VHT chassis paint, and it's pretty heavy, so it doesn't really, you know, float around the shop and get on much. Plus everything around here's got a pretty thick layer of dust on it, so any kind of overspray or anything that would get on anything, it's gonna land on top of the dust and not ever make it to the paint. So we'll be back here in a few hours. It's about 4 a.m. and I'm all out of paint, but I'm done. So let's go check it out. Check that out. Putting paint on the bars really brings it together. Tickled at the way that come out. I did run out of paint. The VHT is great paint, but it just doesn't go that far, or there's not much in the can, rather, is what it seemed like. I wasn't spraying it like a dummy either. I was getting every piece of paint I could on every bar. But I went through 6 cans from the base of the firewall doing the floor tube. I actually did all this stuff up here first, and then the floor tube, and then I went to the back. So when I got to the back, I ran out, and I was able to use some of this Rust-Oleum paint primer. The semi-gloss has just about the same sheen as the VHT gloss paint does. So close that you can't even tell where I stopped and started with it in the back. So I was lucky there. That way I could just keep going and get it done. But man, this really looks good. Even painted the roof where it blends in. So going to the back, we've got our other parts hanging up, and because the Rust-Oleum was so close, I went ahead and painted all these with the Rust-Oleum, because I actually went through about 8 cans of paint tonight with all this. Bell housing, we got it freshened up. I say 8 cans of paint, I mean 8 cans of black. I went through about 4 cans of this primer here. These are the big cans, but it really did help the paint come out better. I know the VHT you don't have to use primer, but using primer just really helps. It really helps you be able to see what spots you've missed, is a big thing for me, but it also helps the paint lay down better. Because the last roll cage I painted for my buddy, that 10-0 cert cage that I installed a few months ago, put the video up on, I painted that thing and there was a couple spots that really sucked, and it gave me a fit, and I wanted to fix it right then, but you really can't fix it right then. You gotta let it dry. I gotta go back and sand it, and I didn't have the patience for it, so he said he would fix it. So primer is better if you can get the primer on there. The only thing is the primer really has bad overspray and stuff if you're doing stuff. And the car, you know, I just wiped it off. It wasn't a big deal because I'm gonna get the thing wrapped, so I really wasn't worried about the little bit of overspray getting on the sides of it. But got all the parts here. Got the removable foot support for under the gas pedal. Got the anti-roll bar links. Got transmission cross member. All your 4-link bars. The tunnel down here, which turned out really slick. And the wishbone and the front cross member. So the rest of the day is consisted of just installing stuff on the car that's not going to come back off. You know, putting everything back in there. And one of the things is going to be the real transmission. We're going to get that installed along with our adjustable clutch, which we have right here. I don't know if I've showed you guys this clutch yet, but this is the same one that Grub Worm runs. This is advancedclutches.com. They're twin 8-inch adjustable clutch. Comes with a big old instruction manual. I'm probably going to just get on the good old messenger and hit up Jonathan and ask him what I need to do putting this thing in, so I don't have to pull it back out and change something. So I've never messed with the adjustable clutch before. So that's that. And I've just kind of went through and installed a bunch of stuff, mainly the carbon panels in the back. I left the one in the middle out because you got your shock sensor there, plus the tail lights and all this stuff. You're gonna have to run wiring back to that, so I just left that one out for Michael's convenience. But man, that carbon looks good after you peel the stuff off of it. I was really impressed at how clean everything came out. I put the tank there just for visual. The rear end stuff's back in, but that turned out just super clean. So we got the ECU mounted back up, got the fire bottle, the transmission pump, the battery hold down, got the parachute stuff, the fire release handle. We got our 5-switch panel from Fuel Tech on the Maven tube clamps. A couple of guys have asked me about those Maven tube clamps. I've not seen them on his website. I didn't even know he did them. And then he asked me what switch panel I was going to do, and he said he had some little trick pieces that maybe they're just prototypes, I don't know, but either way they work really, really good. You can't really see up in there that good, but it worked out great for this. So got our carbon piece over there for the electronics. Gonna do another one where that little triangle shape is right there. We're gonna put another piece of carbon right there. to kind of help assist bunting and mounting some things. I was going to put it in this afternoon, but I got sidetracked on doing some other piddly stuff. So I guess next we'll be throwing the clutch in. Here's our parachute mount too. I didn't show it on video, but just sitting over there on the cardboard, but that's what it looks like. Nice and extended. It'll come right out from underneath our wing. That gives you an idea how long the wing is. CO2 assisted, so don't have to worry about it getting out there. But I can honestly say everything on this car is coming out exactly like I had envisioned. It's sometimes tough when you drag a project out for 3 years for everything to be exactly like you want it, especially with stuff changing along the way. I know Rusty's probably watching this video. His car's in the background. He's going on that long. Not quite that long, but he's into the 2-year mark right now. Still waiting on his piping to come back from polishing, so we'll get there, Rusty. Just be patient. But talking about that, you know, refining ideas and just doing everything exactly like you want the first time. Most of the time you cut some corners or something just to get it done, but I can honestly say everything about this build, the way I'm looking at it right now, is exactly within reason the way I want it. Now I could do probably a little bit cleaner carbon work than what I do. You know, this is my first, I've not really messed with it, you know, doing panels and actually doing it on a finished product car that much. But I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out for just an intro level on that. Plus it's getting me some good practice because I got Jonathan's to do. Then we're gonna do some on the Jeep over there too. We'll get that Hammer Concepts rear in there. So excited what next week's gonna bring. We're gonna get the headers done next week. Live, die, sink or swim. And hopefully get the headlights mounted in the front end behind me. We got the exhaust trim ring. We'll get that, we'll get those holes drilled and stuff. I gotta check on getting it wrapped because I don't want to put anything on there and then have to unbolt it again for a wrap. So we'll just have to see about that. I got a call about that next week. So thanks for following the build. I know my rambling kind of gets annoying probably to a lot of you, and you probably skip through the video a lot, but I give you every single detail. The good, the bad. You know, I will show you this little thing over here talking about the bad. The carbon that I bent for this panel on the other side fit really good. I mean, within reason right there. But on this side, I made the same bend, and for some reason, the window has a little bit more of a dip or something. So I had to rivet a little tab and pull it down kind of even with that so it wasn't as gappy. So it's a learning curve on stuff like that. Let's see how low this thing is to the ground. The bell housing would have been that low if I hadn't trimmed it off. Probably be slinging some sparks sometime or another. So hope everybody has a good Easter weekend. I'll update you again next week. Hopefully whenever we get some headers started, I'll video some assembly of that. So see you then. Happy Easter.